All right. See if I'm live here in a second on good old YouTube. All right. Yes. Good old YouTube. And I got sound, so perfect. All right, awesome. Well, I went live on Facebook, so I figured I'd go live on YouTube. A little late at night, but hey, it's better than nothing. We'll see who joins in. How was everyone doing today? For myself, since it's been a while, I was just kind of resetting and renewing the mind, and just kind of collectively putting everything together, looking at solutions and what are we looking for in this world of chaos right now, right? It just depends on where your perception is at and what are you looking for, right? What are we looking for when it comes to building from the ashes, right? Because we're seeing end of an age and we're seeing a beginning, and it's definitely a mixed bag because we don't know the end game. I think and feel that is being built every day, and I also feel that we need to be aware of what we're building and how we're building, and start communicating with all walks of life as a whole. As someone talked about on Facebook, is that as in the work environment, right, we have to work with a wide variety of people with different views and perceptions and all walks of life, right? And it's a good mindset to live in, because if we're going to learn to work together and build with each other, we're going to have to figure out ways on how to unite through diversity, which is a big thing, that I've been talking about forever. And it's just looking at ways to utilize the tools at the end of the day. So I've just been kind of looking at ways on the spiritual journey element, and schools as well, right? Because those are two things that are essential in this walk of life, is schools and spiritual journey, and bringing that back in, because what are we seeing in this day and age is spirituality is absolutely nothing, right? It's all about a particular business that runs the show. They're looking at ways to de-evolve the people and not allow you to do your own research, and not allow you to have any knowledge of what is happening, what you're putting into your body, looking at ways to heal yourself and develop yourself, right? We got miracles all over the place, right? The power of prayer, the power of healing. That alone, is a mystery to doctors and science, and how you can be healed from just the power of will and intent, the power of prayer, the power of belief, the power of faith. And that's something that we need to bring back and start teaching people, right? We're not slaves to the trade of monkey see, monkey do mentality. They've been training humanity the past 21 years to be in that state of mind, right? I remember back in the mid-90s all the way to 2000, when it was just an open doorway. You speak your mind, you listen to the teenagers, you listen to the children and what they wanted to see. And then all of a sudden that thing flipped. Actually 2001 in September, things flipped. And then after that, it was whatever the elite said. It didn't matter what the people said, it's what the elite said. So with that being said, we got to start looking at ways to elevate the minds and to renew the minds into a different manner, right? And spiritual journey is part of it, as well as looking at other things, right? I got the Zoom link in there. Got to watch out and see who clicks in, but it's there, and all the topics are there as well, right? On what we can discuss. And health and fitness is a big one. I talked about that quite a bit on the Facebook end, and we have to look at that. People are spending billions of dollars on one thing when they're not spending any money on making you healthy, teaching you how to eat right, and learning more about your body, learning more about ingredients. Oh man, that's huge. Ingredients in general is huge. Why would you put something in your body, eating, drinking, whatever it is, into your body without knowing what it is, right? It'd be like going out into the forest and just eating whatever you want, and then you end up eating one of the deadliest plants, and then you're screwed, right? You're finished. So it's time to start educating. And who are we educating the most? Children and teenagers, right? They're our future. And if we're not teaching our children and teenagers good values, good health and fitness, spiritual journeys, and things of this nature, they will fall victim to where society is going, right? We have a chance to change it now, and it's going to be based upon the children and the teenagers, right? Right now it's a battle between parents, it's a battle between adults, and there's adults that have the mindset of not being adults. So we have to really start to educate up here, right? There's people who have a whole 50 bajillion views. I watched this one thing that just popped up. I don't know what it is, but there's been these eating contests of these people eating the world's largest, plates, whatever. So there's this guy that was eating McDonald's 7 days in a row, a 5,100 calorie dinner that he ate every day, right? And he gains tons of views, he gets paid for it, and all that stuff. And I'm just like, wow, that is just uncanny to me on how people can be supporting of that. But why they support it? Entertainment value, right? It's something that is universally accepted. It is just something to watch and observe. So we need to start looking at ways to keep the attention span of the children and teens in that mentality, right? I know when people watch me that they are in their mid-20s, 30s. Not many of them are kids or teenagers, not that I'm aware of. So, we're having to talk to adults here, and we're going to have to start observing our children and teens and see what they watch and how we can start to educate them. There's a lot of smart kids and teens out there. They're asking a lot of questions. Their questions are getting answered. They go to schools, they dumb them down, things of that nature. One of the things that I was talking about on the Facebook end was about with schools and how we got the public schools that have like hundreds of children. That teacher, there's no way in the world that teacher is going to be able to spend one-on-one and help them grow and develop. So they may be in grade 6, but they're still at level 1, right? So they're going to graduate, but they're still only comprehending level 1 because they were never taught, or their questions they had could never be answered because there's just too many students. So like my kids, they were in private school, and it was always like a class of between 8 to 12. 8 to 12. There's one time it went up to 15. So it was growing, but that's about an average, 8 to 12. And you can actually, they were being taught one-on-one. So if they were struggling with something, they were being taught by the teacher, and the teacher would help them out. And that's very important to realize that, right? There's a thing in the Bible that talked about the 12 disciples, Christ being the 13th one. And it's a good guideline for how we should be doing things. And we should be teaching others on how to be a teacher. So then what you teach them, they can be a leader, and then they can teach a group of 12. And then that leader can get from their group of 12 and teach a leader out of there, and then they can get a group of 12. And it just continues to grow from there, right? And that's how we build. And it's important to understand that and realize, that we can't do this stuff by ourselves. But if we could get small groups, teach them, train them, send them out, it's going to help in the long run. But it's going to be also into the realm of, what are we teaching? Is it selective teaching, or is it of is it a teaching that can be utilized as an open book, right? Because there's a lot of religious teachings, spiritual teachings, worldly teachings. It just depends on what you're looking at, right? So a thing that I was been observing, this is basically just a rundown from Facebook, is religion, right? Religion. You can really utilize and look at religion as a starting point of a spiritual journey, right? I was born and raised in a Christian home, and so my foundation is of a Western culture, and it is of a Christian understanding, right? So I was learned on how to have a relationship with Christ and a relationship with the Creator. And I chose to build upon that on the personal relationship element, because I wasn't really taught that in the church. But I utilized that because, one, with the help of my mom, because my mom was really open about the relationship element of things. Hey, if you got any questions, just pray to God and pray to Christ, and Christ will help you out, right? So I listened to my mom, and I kept that foundation, and still have that foundation. And it's my spiritual journey beginnings, right? And I can definitely speak about being very selective, right? Since I was born and raised in a Christian home, I had the very same values as what a Christian's perspective is. And that is that Christianity is the only way. Any other religion is false. So you have to help people see that Christianity is the only way. So I grew up with that. I tried to help people learn that stuff as well. So it wasn't until 2010 when I had my spiritual awakening, everything opened up, and I had to look at all perspectives. I had to look at and reanalyze what a spiritual journey was, continuing my personal relationship with Christ and the Creator, going back to and talking with Christ on what I would discover, right? Because I only knew about the power of prayer, but in my teenage years, I learned about meditation. And I learned meditation through Dragon Ball Z, of all things. And through Dragon Ball Z, I learned on how to become one with nature, and I learned about meditation. So I was practicing these things in my teenage years while still having that relationship with Christ Creator, having them guide me through this process of unknown territory, right? And eventually, I kind of departed from that and went back into the Christian element of things, right? As well as going through a roller coaster ride of learning more about people's views, learning about how people wear masks, right? I moved away out of this town and moved into a different city. Pretty much it was a city. And got into a Christian church, and everything was okay, right? But it was always the people. Be like, hey, there's a bunch of Christian people here. Let's have a conversation with them. And it was very similar to what I had in this town, is that they wear a mask of I'm a Christian and things of that nature. But as soon as those doors close, they take those masks off. Their true persona reveals itself, and then that's that. There was no real walk in the Christian faith, or no real walk in that spiritual journey with these people, and a lot of times it was just because their parents went, or things of that nature, right? But there's good people there too. I'm sure there was, but that's just what I seen as well, through teenage eyes, through college eyes, right? Because I was in that same age, so I had to really observe that. And it was the same with parents, well, as adults, right? You kind of really seen that a lot of them were wearing masks. Some of them were just going there just to go. So I learned quite a bit that there's so many people that wear fake masks, and it's still being done to this day. It's really hard to find authentic people. Like myself, what you see is what I got, right? I kind of have this stuff decorated in the background to kind of have people realize, hey, I'm a real person, right? There's things I like, even when this camera goes off, it's me, right? Being real, authentic, and looking at ways to truly help people, right? And not being selective in any way. So as my walk of life began, I learned more about the Christian element of things, church in general, and then I had my awakening in 2010. I learned I needed to expand in my knowledge and awareness of different cultures, of different religions, why things are practiced, and why people have different points of view, right? Because, again, I was born in the Western culture with Christian beliefs and structures. So that's what I know. That's what I grew up in. So we got to think about the perception of people who live in Japan, Australia, Canada, the UK, China, things of that nature, right? We got to think that they all have different cultures, they all have different beliefs, they all pray to different things, they do different mantras, they do many different things. I was talking to a friend earlier today, talking about yoga, and he went to this class where these people were bowing like 30 times. And he said, he's like, I get the one bow for respect, right? But doing it 30 times, right? That's a little overboard. But on the flip side, it shows signs of discipline, which discipline is good, right? There's a healthy dose of discipline. I think if you don't train your children or the teenagers about respecting your elders and discipline, that is loving of nature, then they are going to be rebellious. But if they have a rebellious spirit, then they will continue to be rebellious. So at least you're teaching them how to be respectful, to show them good family values, things like that. If they choose the rebellious spirit, at least that seed will be planted, so when they get older, hopefully what was taught to them will eventually blossom. So it's never a thing of losing people, never bash a child or a teenager for being rebellious. It's that they need to learn. They need to learn, but you can still teach them values at the end of the day. And that's what lacks in society now, is that there is no family values, morals. Kids, they watch YouTube all the time and play Roblox and watch silly, mindless things. I got kids, and they watch things that are just pretty mindless. And it's just being the parent and observing. Like, I've observed what my kids watch. And I ask my kids, I'm like, hey, what do you think about this person, what they're doing here? Do you think this is this teaching you anything? Is this just silly? What is this, right? The answer I get from one of my kids is, it's just funny. It's just there. So, it just depends. But you got to communicate with your kids. You can't just leave them sheltered in their room or sheltered outside or not having any communication with your children. You got to be educating them every moment you can, right? Even if it's just for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, right? Spending time and learning about the mindsets of the children in this day and age and the teenagers in this day and age is so important. There's so many people that are going through a lot. There's adults that are going through a lot of things. A lot of emotions are built up, right? There's a lot of things that kids are going through. Kids and teenagers are very confused. They have YouTube and social media telling them they need to be one thing. They're so confused, they don't know what to do. They got other kids talking with kids and teenagers talking with teenagers with no parental speaker to kind of guide them through those conversations, right? We've all been teenagers, mine was a different circumstance, but for the most part, a normal teenager talks with their friends about things, and they go through things together. And it can be mature at times. Sometimes maybe your friend is real mature, and they listen to their elders, they listen to their parents, and they learned a lot, So it's important to realize where we're going for the future. And teaching different things, teaching new ways of life, because we're so used and accustomed to what our grandparents taught us and our great-grandparents and our parents, right? All that stuff is the old paradigm. And with that old paradigm is fading away. And with that fading away of the old paradigm, we have to be building a new paradigm. The elite are already trying to build a new paradigm. We got to be building an alternate paradigm, right? We're in a chess game right now between which paradigm is going to rise up. And are people going to learn on how to work together? People have to learn to work together. If there's something that is not right, it needs to be addressed respectively and honorably, but it needs to be addressed. We can't allow selective thinking to overrun a world. Let me say that again. We cannot allow selective thinking to overrun the world. Again, that's what we're going through right now, is selective businesses, selective groups, selective opinions in a selective category. And they got lots of money. So if you pay off all these people and they're very selective, then they're winning because they got the money, they got the power. Very selective. So we need to find an alternative so it's not so selective, right? It is. It's very selective. You can see it. You can see it in the news. If people watch the news, I try to stay away from the news. The only reason why I might watch it is just to see what chess game they're playing, right? And it's bizarre. It really is. Let me see some here. All right. So it's very bizarre on how everything just kind of plays out in those selective view pools. But the best thing to look at is to look at new ideas. There's so many people that are on spiritual journeys. They're sharing new ideas and looking at different ways and perspectives of things, and teaching people different ways about health and fitness, about different ways of renewing the mind, learning about ETs and hidden history and knowledge, looking at the Bible differently, learning about translations, right? Whether it be of the Hebrew roots for the Bible or any kind of book in general, right? Getting to the roots of things and learning about the history instead of the selective history that we're accustomed to, because there's a history that we have been programmed to watch, programmed to learn, so it rewrites history, right? And that was something that I noticed when I was in my church that had a school. So the school is in the church, and I was really just kind of observing, going, wow, these are the first presidents. George Washington is the first president, and I was like, wow, first president. And then I would go to the Bible and I'd read about Adam and Eve. I'm like, oh, so that's how history started. So I was like, huh. And then eventually I kind of questioned about the presidents and things like that, and wondered why there wasn't different colored people in the White House, right? And then I questioned why the White House was called the White House and all these things. And I'm like, okay, there's something not right here. What's going on here? And then you start to dig into history, which for me, I didn't even start real history lessons till 2010. And that's when I really started to dig deep and go, oh, so those are the questions. So those questions were legit. It wasn't just something that I was just thinking. There was some really weird stuff going on. So, and it lets you be aware, that, even a child can have questions, but because it's not presented or a child doesn't know how to ask those questions, they're just always going to wonder, and then eventually, over time, they will look into these things. They will look and see how what they've been taught, and then over time they'll eventually meet people, hopefully, that will kind of help them get on the right track. There's people that are going to get you off the wrong track as well. I've been victim to that plenty of times, right? You have a conversation with people and everything, and then eventually you see their true colors, and they'll just deceive the heck out of you. They'll backstab you as well. So it's the power of discernment through what you're learning. And I was trying to find real authentic people. Which brings me into another topic that I've been noticing quite a bit, is with the whole revival thing, right? And you can look up revival, you know what I'm talking about. It's definitely a very interesting thing that's going on. A lot of cursed spirits being released out of people, right? Which is an amazing thing, right? I never really knew that was a thing that's been going on through many, many decades, if not more. It's just I never seen it, so it was all new to me fairly recently. So I was like, wow, okay, cool. So there's this one guy that I've been observing and watching, and he looks legit. He looks like he's the real deal. And then there's this girl, on the other hand, and I get mixed bags about her. And at the end of the day, I think what's going to end up happening with this revival is that while we're seeing cursed spirits being released out of these people's bodies, I think we're going to end up seeing actors come into play. We're going to see a lot of actors come out and say, hey, I was at this revival, and yeah, I acted like there was a cursed spirit in me, and I allowed it to be and they allowed it to be free. I played this act, and now I'm here to publicly let you guys know that it was just an act that I was paid to act at this revival. So there's gonna be a lot of controversy and create a lot more confusion to add to the mix. So then that revival thing will be a mixed bag, right? So there's just a lot of things that you have to be aware of and use the power of discernment. So before you feel you want to be a part of something, get to know the people that are involved in it, and get to know your leaders in those areas, and continue to be observant, right? And at the end of the day, hopefully you're teaching yourself on how to be a leader, and that you're starting to help people out and train them as well. It's something I'm big at, and it's just utilizing those tools, right? You know, there's a lot of things that I can offer you guys, which I present here in these videos as well. And again, this is just kind of a observing of things that I've been noticing, just to kind of help people shift their perception of what's been going on, because there's just so much selective choices. You really don't know where to go. You don't know where to put your faith in, right? And at the end of the day, like myself, right, the Christian foundation will always remain. I will always have a relationship with Christ, and I'll always have a relationship with the Creator. And I think it's important to simplify that as well. That's something that I've noticed quite a bit, just like with Christianity, right? Simplified as, you know, you believe that Christ died on the cross and rose in 3 days, and you know, there's God, and if you put your life to Christ, then you'll be filled with the Holy Spirit. Very simple message, right? And, you know, to keep things simplified, you know, it needs to be the same way, right? We all know there's a Creator. No matter what walk or role you have, what culture you're into, there is a Creator that people know. They know and they feel that there's a Creator. And people will pray or meditate to the Creator, right? They have a source to go to. Like for myself, right, you got to have a guide. Christ is my guide, has been my foundation, the go-to place. You know, Christ is like my best friend. And I think it's important to discover that guide, right? Christ is, to me, is like the best guide, since we have like a good story in the Bible, right? The only thing you really need to read in the Bible is the story of Christ: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And Christ will show you the world for what it is, right? He will teach you the corruptions of religion. He will teach you the corruptions of the way of the world, of money, of greed, and lust. He talked about all this stuff, but his most important, simple message was, again, he said I am the way, the truth, and the life, right? Christ taught you how to have a personal relationship with the Creator. Since Christ was talking, Christ was only talking about having the relationship with the Creator because he was there. So I think it's important to have that mindset that Christ was having a relationship with the Creator, as you can have a relationship with the Creator. And I feel that with Christ saying that he was the way, and that story was presented even after his passing, that Christ is the way to the Creator, I think is a good way of acknowledging where we are today in spiritual cultures and religious practices is that we have a guide now, right? So Christ kind of laid that foundation of like, all right, so we're going to be having, in the future, we're going to be having these Buddhas and Shivas and ETs of all different races that are going to be influencing humanity. Well, let me be one of those names that you can tap into as well to help you gain access to the Creator. So that's a good way of looking at it. That's what I got out of it, just through my personal walk with Christ and my spiritual journey as well. So hopefully, that kind of helps you in a way. I think all of us who have had spiritual backgrounds, spiritual journey started with religion. I think a lot of people can agree in that element, or their parents were in a religion, or you heard about religion in some way, shape, or form. And that's kind of your starting point, your beginner class to your spiritual journey. If you're watching me, you pretty much are probably on a spiritual journey. You probably have questions, you're probably learning, growing, you're probably wondering, what the heck this guy's talking about. Hopefully not. Hopefully, who is ever is watching this is learning from this. Again, chat room's available there as well. At least I hope so. It looks like it's on. But as a whole, that's just kind of one to one to discuss and continue forward. So like as all the descriptions I have in this video is what I'll be discussing, hopefully on a very frequent basis. This is the second time I went live today, and I'm going to be looking at doing that more often to gain a wider audience and to help people in all walks of life, and hopefully in all genres as well, whether it be teenagers, whatever age it may be, any kind of age group, adults, older adults, whatever it may be, any kind of age group, to help them kind of have a better understanding of things, right? I'm just one of many, and I always have concerns since I am a parent. I kind of have an understanding of, you definitely got to be observant of what your kids watch, and I think you have to also be observant of what your boyfriend, girlfriend, married person, whatever it may be, what they watch as well, and just make sure that they don't fall into the category of being stuck in a cult or being stuck in something that could persuade them into falling. I think at the end of the day, we got to start in empowering people, right, to be more observant, teaching people on how to be observant, teaching people the power of discernment, asking questions, gaining knowledge and wisdom, because without knowledge and wisdom, lack of knowledge and wisdom, you will perish because of that. And it's so important to have that now with everything that's going on now, right? Again, if you are allowing things to go into your body, say you got an allergic reaction to something, if you're not asking the questions, man, you're going to have an allergic reaction, and then that's going to be the end of it. So, just be cautious of what you're doing. Ask questions. Don't let people push you around. Don't let people bully you. Be respectful towards your others. Be respectful towards people who talk to you. There's going to be immature people you'll meet. They may yell at you. You just got to be calm and observe the situation, and observe your actions as well, right? Observing is key. Maturity is key. Maturity, I feel, comes with age. It does. Through this spiritual journey, I've definitely have grown and developed a lot and matured in a lot of things, learned a lot of things. So it's definitely something I want to share to the world about that maturity, as well as the new mindsets of things going into the future. Trying to help people look at ways to improve their life, and answer the questions that people have, right? Whether it be in health and fitness, what to eat, what practices to look into in spirituality, which is very simple. Honestly, I always tell people meditation is key / prayer. Get out into nature. If you're in the big cities, move out of the big cities if you can, but get out of the big cities, get into nature, develop your spiritual journey, learn about the spiritual realm. You don't need no rituals to tap in, because all you need is nature and meditation. That's it. Your will and intent is huge in meditation. And what you eat is huge as well. Eat as natural as you can. Know what you put in your body. Exercise, whether it be a little or a lot. Lift weights or do stretching, which I talked about yoga, and how so many people have tried to, especially in the religious realm, tried to demonize what they don't know. They're not doing the research. Yoga, all it is exercise and physical therapy. Yoga is physical therapy. That's what it is. It stretches your ligaments just like a gymnast. They aren't going to be limber enough if they're not doing their stretching. And a lot of the stretching is what? Perceived yoga positions. So you got to learn on what is being presented, and not just judge things based upon a title. And that's the biggest thing right now, is things that are based on a title. Oh wow. Hey, how's it going, Ja? Yeah, I know. Haven't been on in a long time, huh? So yeah, it's just helping people see how important it is with knowledge and wisdom, right? Because if a religious teacher or pastor is teaching you that yoga is wrong, that person has no idea and not breaking it down, right? In the Eastern realm for yoga, they did design practices that involved allowing a spirit to enter into your body. How that came to be, I don't know. But I think that's a lot of what happened in the translation went wrong. So there's exercises that learn to stretch your ligaments and get all the kinks out, because if you're lifting, especially lifting heavy weights, you need to do your stretches before you lift. And if you're going to work out certain parts of your body, then you're going to need to be stretching that part of the body so then you don't injure yourself. And with these stretches, it allows the blood to circulate through your body, and it starts to renew yourself. You want to get the blood flowing, whether it be running, jogging, exercising, whatever it is, so then that blood can start flowing. You get those toxins out, because if that blood just sits there and you're just stagnant, not doing nothing, those toxins are going to remain in your body. So you got to build your metabolism up and everything like that as well. So it's important. You would think people would know this stuff. A lot of people do not, because I think we live in a busy world. We do. A lot of distractions. I've been victim to that many times. And just being busy, which is why I have not made a lot of videos, but hopefully starting today that changes. This is my second live today. So I just got to maintain that and continue to evolve, because I know people listen. I remember Ja. He's been watching me here and there. If you got any questions, man, let me know. Let me know what's going on. But yeah, we're heading into an interesting season. Hopefully full of awesomeness. But I think it's going to be based upon how you view and observe things. It's definitely a day-to-day thing. take things one day at a time. I have to tell myself that. Take things one day at a time. Things will take care of themselves. Continue to keep your faith and trust in the Creator, faith and trust in whatever needs to be done, and you'll be protected on the way as well. So there's just a lot of things that are changing and evolving, and we just got to be aware of that as well. So yeah, so I could keep rambling on and on. Hopefully whoever watched this, because it looks like quite a few people did tune in, so thank you all for joining in. And again, I should be going live again, probably just focus on a single topic. Again, the Zoom link will be in there as I go on. I'll just have to be observant just in case if interesting people pop in. You never know. So we'll go from there as well. So thank you all for tuning in. Again, hopefully I'll be on. Hopefully tomorrow. I'm going to try to make this kind of a daily thing, and we'll go from there. But love yourself. Keep shining bright. Keep learning. Keep growing. Be your authentic self. If there's things you don't like about yourself, write it down on a piece of paper. Learn on how to improve upon yourself. Continue to look at ways to improve on your spiritual journey. If you feel very stagnant in your spiritual journey, look at ways to look at new ways without becoming lost in the translation as well. Again, simple. Meditation, spend time with the Creator. If you have a relationship with Christ, spend time with Christ. Get out into nature, and everything will just kind of present itself as well. So that's very important at the end of the day. So anyways, I can keep talking. Love yourself, keep shining bright, and I'll talk to you later. Hopefully I can figure out how to turn this version off. Alright, see you guys.